Hey guys, today we're talking about whether to buy or sell the great Zion Williamson. Stay tuned. Hey guys, thanks for joining us for another video. We're excited to be here. Today we're going to be talking about a player that I really like, Zion Williamson. I'm a die-hard New Orleans Saints fan. So for me, Zion, he's kind of, I'm not necessarily a Pelicans fan, but just by default, I love the city of New Orleans. And so I'm kind of pulling in the background for the Pelicans. I'm not a die-hard fan by any stretch, but I really like Zion the kid. And so, today we're going to be talking about him. He's, of course, the most hyped player since LeBron. So it certainly deserves a video just to kind of go over my thoughts and want to get some comments from you guys as to what you think too. But first off, let me start by saying on the positive side, I just really like the kid. He did go to Duke. My wife went to UNC, so we weren't pulling for him in college at all. But just, good family background, good head on his shoulders, just a good overall guy from what we've seen. He's doing stuff in the community in New Orleans. Just seems like a really positive influence in the NBA and a really exciting player. I mean, he reminds me kind of from my day as a kid watching Larry Johnson, Sean Kemp, type build, exciting player, all the big dunks and the alley oops, exciting player to watch. From a card investing standpoint, for me, he is a short-term play. And to be honest, I mean, I can't find anything. There's no deals to be had from what I've seen, unless and there I could be wrong. I mean, I'm not hunting for Zions on a daily basis, so there could be some good deals that I just miss out on. I'm sure that there are from time to time. But for me, I mean, the prices for his cards are they're already built in with the hype to where I almost feel like you're paying for, if this guy wins an MVP, if he wins a championship, I'm not sure how much higher these prices can go. I just feel like the ceiling on a player like this, we're already kind of hitting, these high prices to where, I just don't know. I mean, he's priced like the next Michael Jordan, like the next LeBron. I mean, it's incredible. So I know we were saying the same thing about Luka last year, and now Luka's prices have gone even higher. But my goodness, I mean, Zion's are already, past Luka or with Luka's. So I just can't see where, there's just a ton of value in these cards. And like I said, I'm not hunting for these on a daily basis, so there very well could be deals. But for me, I just haven't seen much. Now, going back to it, I don't see him as a long-term buy. So I've had, people ask me, and I've seen comments of, what if I, buy this $5,000 Zion card and in 10 years, is it going to be a $25,000 or $50,000 card? Very well could be. I'm not a psychic. None of us are. Very well could be. But my concern about him is his long-term. I don't consider him a long-term play because of his knees. Now I know that you could say, hey, Michael Jordan broke his foot. He was out for 8 months. Steph Curry had ankle issues. I get all of that. I understand that players can get through injuries and still have great careers. But for me, I look at him as the closest comparison I can make of him is Larry Johnson. He was picked first overall in the 91 draft. He had a 10-year career. Fantastic player, amazing career. I mean, he was exciting to watch, very similar to Zion. I mean, the guy was incredible. But he did have, injuries did plague his career. It was a 10-year career. It wasn't a 15 or 20-year career. And it's a big body, throwing his weight around like Zion does. And so for me, I'm extremely nervous about, buying high-end cards of his for a long-term hold. I would not advise it. Again, it very well could be. It could work out to where this guy has a 20-year career and he's the greatest of all time. Could happen, but for me, if I'm making that bet, it's just his knees really worry me. And that's before we even get into possible back injuries. Larry Johnson had back issues. I mean, there's other things that can crop up as you age, and so long term, no, I just don't see him, as a long term play. But in the short run, you're seeing fluctuations. I mean, there was a big there was profit to be made when he got injured at the beginning of the season, and then he came back and he had a nice little run, over the last couple months before the season was suspended. Those prices moved and people made money on those cards. So there are opportunities like that. So if you're looking at little pockets of time to where he goes out for a couple of weeks because he's dealing with something, or if it's the off season and prices sag a little bit, those are buying opportunities. And then when he comes back from injury, or when that season starts back up, or maybe the playoffs are starting and the Pelicans have made it, there's probably points of time that are great selling opportunities, but those are really the only ones I'm looking at for this player. The last thing I would say on Zion is, while of course, silver prisms and prism products are most widely available, and yes, they're absolutely, a lot easier to buy and sell and trade because they're more common. And I understand that the pros there. Again, though, if you have a sag in demand, I would be focusing more on select and maybe a set like Revolution. Some of these kind of, sets that they are popular. They're not as popular as the Prism products, but the print runs on them are lower. So you have some rarity there. That would be the only thing that I would say. And just from watching my other videos, I'm all about scarcity. I know that people will fight with me on it and say, like, look, silver prism is the outlier, and nothing can touch it, and it's still going to go up, and everything's always going to go up. I'm just a little bit more of a pessimist when it comes to print runs. Right now, we've just got amazing NBA demand, and so you're seeing those prices that are holding, they're rising. It's an exciting time. There's a bunch of new money coming into this market, so you're seeing that. But what happens when that stops? Or what happens if, it slows down? And what happens if people just move completely out of it into something else? Maybe they go into sneaker investing. Maybe they go into coins, stamps, whatever that next collectible thing is, that they want to move into. It could be anything. It could be Pogs. When I was a kid, it was, there was Pogs. Pokemon is still hot. Pokemon was hot in the 90s. There's all sorts of things that can take the place of sports cards. So, while this is extremely hot right now, let's be realistic in the sense to, we only have a finite amount of resources to invest. So just take all of this into account. So anyway, thanks again for joining me on this video. Like I said, I'm a huge Zion fan. I love this kid. I think that he's going to do great things for the NBA. But when we're talking about sports card investing, and for collecting, for collecting, that's one thing, but if you're trying to buy and sell and you're trying to make money, you've got to be really careful with this particular player. That's all I would say. So anyway, you guys have a great day. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time.